Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Schilt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
Final score in Game 2 of this doubleheader today in Atlanta. The Braves 3 and the Padres nothing as the Padres split this twin billing in Atlanta. They do take 3 out of 4 from the Atlanta Braves in this wraparound weekend series. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios here on the Padres Radio Network. Great to have you with us on this Monday evening. Hope you had a great Monday. Hope you're on your way to whatever your evening plans are, maybe on the way home from work right now. Whatever you're doing, appreciate you joining us for our post-game coverage. It's been a very long day of Padres baseball. We were on the air with our first pregame show at 8:20 a.m. We're now heading towards 6 p.m. and just getting rolling on our second post-game show of the day. And the Padres do split this doubleheader. They had a terrific win in Game 1. If you missed it, Padres winning it 6-5, a game where they trailed 5-0. And in this one, they run into a buzzsaw in Chris Sale, who was excellent in this game. 7 scoreless innings, and the Braves win it 3-0. Lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt, the radio highlights, and more. But first, some initial thoughts for you from this one. I think you could look at this game in 2 ways. And one of the ways I think would probably be the reasonable way to look at it. Bottom line is this: Padres won the first 3 games of this series. They're going up against, even though they're not playing great right now, the Braves, one of the best teams in the National League, on the road, coming off the disappointment of the sweep at the hands of the Colorado Rockies to begin last week. You know what? If somebody would have told you they won 3 out of 4 in Atlanta, you would have certainly taken it. You would have signed up for it immediately, and the Padres won the first 3 games, really making this final great game, and the fact that it was part of a doubleheader, sort of like the cherry on top, if you could win it, the gravy, if you will. And look, you're going to have games like this where you run into a great starting pitcher, and a starting pitcher that's really hot right now in Chris Sale, and he was terrific in this game. Sale went 7 innings, no runs given up, 5 hits, walked nobody, and struck out 9. So from that perspective, can you really be all that mad about this game? Probably not, right? One of those games, Braves want to win this one. Second game of a doubleheader. You run into Chris Sale, you take your 3 out of 4, you run to Cincinnati. Don't worry about it. That is probably the reasonable take on this game. And that's really where I fall on this game. With that said, this did feel like a winnable second game of this doubleheader for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Padres got a good pitching performance from Randy Vasquez. He went 6 innings, gave up 10 hits, but at the end of the day, quality outing, 3 runs given up, and he left the game with this team trailing 3-0, gave the Padres a chance in this game. So that was one reason why you felt this game was winnable. The other reason, you did have some opportunities against Sale and then against the Atlanta bullpen. Against Sale, Padres had a runner on in each of the first 4 innings. They had 2 on in the 4th inning. They had a runner on second base and 1 out in the 3rd. They had an opportunity in the 8th inning with a couple of runners on base and 1 out. Padres couldn't find a way to get that big hit. They were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position and 7 left on base. And they got good work out of the bullpen, scoreless innings from Enyel De Los Santos and Wandy Peralta. So you look at the missed opportunities against Sale early, the missed opportunity late against the Braves bullpen, and the fact that Randy Vasquez, at the end of the day, gave you a quality outing, 6 innings, 3 runs given up. It felt winnable. It felt there for the taking, the 4-game sweep of the Braves. So again, I think when you really boil it down, the fact that you took 3 out of 4, today would have been the cherry on top in the second game of this doubleheader. But it did feel like a winnable game. And I think both those things could be true at once. But I think you take 3 out of 4, you head to Cincinnati. Much more to do on our post-game coverage. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt. We'll have all the radio highlights and much, much more. Padres dropped to 25-25 on the year. Braves improved to 27-17. Padres now will head to Cincinnati after a long day in Atlanta. They'll begin a 3-game series at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati tomorrow with right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound. We'll have much more on that game, and we'll wrap this one up when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in Game 2 of today's doubleheader, the Braves 3 and the Padres nothing. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres split this doubleheader. They do take 3 out of 4 from the Braves over this weekend. A win on Friday, a win on Sunday, a win earlier today, losing the final game of this series earlier tonight. And now the Padres will head on to Cincinnati, start of a 3-game series in Cincinnati tomorrow. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Schilt coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's recap this one in its entirety.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
For the second time in today's doubleheader, the Braves scored first. Ronald Acuna Jr. hit a leadoff triple against Randy Vasquez. Ozzie Albies was next.
Here's the 0-1. Albies lines it into left center field. That's down and a base hit. Profar's got to play it on a hop. Acuna will jog home. An RBI single for Ozzie Albies. And as they did in Game 1 this afternoon, the Braves strike first. It's 1-0.
Score stayed 1-0. Braves then got more in the third against Vasquez. A 1-out double, a single. There were 2 on base for Travis d'Arnaud.
1-2 is lined to left field. Profar charging, has to play it on a hop. That'll be an RBI single for d'Arnaud as Ozuna now comes home to score the second Atlanta run of the night.
The Padres were facing a tough lefty here tonight in Chris Sale, but they did have some scoring chances against them. They had a runner on base in each of the first 4 innings, including a runner on second with 1 out in the third, then runners on second and third with 2 out in the 4th inning, but the Padres could not score. Padres still trailed 2-0. Heading to the 5th, Marcell Ozuna then did this.
Out of the windup, Vasquez delivers. That's hit hard in the air to deep left field. Oh, boy. Profar just turns around to watch. It's going to go into the Padre bullpen. And Ozuna now is homered in both games of the doubleheader. The Brave lead is 3-0.
Sale continued to roll. He retired 10 in a row to finish his outing. 7 scoreless innings in this one for Chris Sale. Walked nobody, allowed 5 hits, struck out 9 on 103 pitches. And aside from that, not a whole lot to tell you about. Padres would put 2 on in the 8th inning against their former teammate, Pierce Johnson, but Johnson got out of the jam. Padres then went down 1-2-3 in the 9th inning against Braves closer Raisel Iglesias. Padres did get good bullpen work in this one. Scoreless innings from both Enyel De Los Santos and Wandy Peralta, but Chris Sale, 7 strong innings, shutout innings, and the Padres fall 3-0 in the finale of this series and this doubleheader. Padres dropped to 25-25 on the year, so through 50 games, they're an even 500. Braves improved to 27-17. Padres do take 3 out of 4 in this 4-game series, and now it's on to Cincinnati. Let's go back to Truist Park in Atlanta. Here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Schultz. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, you were able to get to some good starting pitchers this weekend. Chris Sale was just really good. What did you think of him?
Yeah, we had good at-bats the whole series against some good pitching, and I thought Sale was really, really good. It changed speeds. The secondary stuff was really good. The fastball had a life to it. Everything was good. We had some at-bats today. Had a chance, grabbed the bag, swing away from tying it at the moment. But, he pitched really well.
Randy Vasquez seemed to take fairly good advantage of his extra opportunity to get a start.
I don't think there's any question. He did the ball very well. It's a tough lineup. He navigated. He gave us 6 innings with, shorter bullpen from the last couple of days, and he gave us more than a chance to win. By definition, quality start. And probably did the ball well. Ozuna put some swings on him, but he ran the ball really well. Continues to improve at the big league level.
Especially with the 5-run comeback today.
Yeah.
You got to be pretty happy to leave here with 3 wins, 3 out of 4. It's because you got to be a pretty good bounce back series after the Rocky series.
Yeah, we know we're looking to win a series, and the guys played really well. Played good baseball the whole time, fought their tails off. Got the first one, just weren't able to get the second one, but we'll take 3 out of 4 and move on.
You guys have won 10 of your last 14 games here, dating back to 2021. What do you think the key is to the success in not an easy environment to play in?
No, it's not. I can't explain that.
Yeah.
I wish I could. We bottle it, but guys are ready to play here, and we have good results.
Mike, what do you make of the way that you have gotten a 500 after 50 games?
There's a lot of different ways to look at it. I feel like this club is in a really good spot. I think we've gained a ton of ground relative to how we're going to play. We've clearly created an identity of how we're going to compete, the resiliency, the grit. We do a lot of things really well, and it's just a matter of consistency. But, it's our club's in a really good spot.
On the days where your starting pitching was really good, first 2 games, and then C struggled, the bullpen picked him up. Do you just think overall as a pitching staff this was a great showing for you guys?
I thought so, yeah. I'm glad you brought up the bullpen again. De Los Santos and Peralta, good today in the 7th and 8th rather, to keep it right there. The bullpen was obviously outstanding the first time around, and we got some really good bullpen work. The first 2 games of the series, Estrada and Suarez, and guys really getting big out. So. And De Los Santos the first night as well, finishing up. We've done a nice job, and we played really good defense as well. How about Toddy tonight? Makes another platinum glove worthy play in the second, and then plays the ball off the wall to hold him at first. That creates a double play right after that. That's a nice double play by Solano and Arise. So, pitching was good.
The catch was like he's one of the few people who can make it.
In the world,
This,
right?
the other one is a guy who's learned how to play the position, right?
Yeah.
One where he knows what to do.
Yeah. The first one, combination of really still knowing the position, the athleticism's off the charts. I mean, the ball's going away from him, but he does know that in both plays he knows the environment. So he goes over, knows the warning track, knows where the wall is able to make a play and thankfully be okay. And the second one was the nuances of being and the first one too, though. He takes a good jump, takes a good route, which gives him some, helps out as well. But second play is the nuances of knowing the ballpark and then knowing the fundamentals of how to play the position off the wall.
Go ahead.
Luis, stepped in for second base after Xander went down. He has experience playing there, did it a lot in Miami.
Right.
Made a good play, good pick there. Just how nice is it to have somebody like that who can both DH and play the infield effectively?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we miss Bogey, but it's always nice to get Luis Ariz out there, and he's got great hands and nice little in between pick. He got a lot of action. Day was clean, turned out a nice double play, like I said, with Solano, and he's got good hands and he's very efficient with the balls at him.
Regardless of what happened tonight, it has to feel good to come away with 3 on this trip.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're excited about 3 out of 4 in this environment against this club, and starting the road trip. And we're excited to go on and continue it in Cincinnati.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after the second game of today's doubleheader against the Atlanta Braves. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios on our postgame coverage here on the Padres Radio Network. And you heard a reference there to Xander Bogaerts. If you missed it earlier, Bogaerts came out of the first game in today's doubleheader after he dove for a ground ball to his left, injured his left shoulder. Didn't look great at the time. Now, after game 1, if you missed it, Mike Shildt said that initial imaging on Bogaerts' shoulder were negative and that the initial feedback is best case scenario. Too early to know if Bogaerts will need to go on the IL. They are going to have more tests and they'll sort of go from there. But that was some of the news, some of the negative news today for the Padres. When we come back in our post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network, we'll continue to discuss this doubleheader as a whole. Padres win game 1, 6-5. They lose game 2, 3-0. We'll have our relief pitcher of the game take one final look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Get you involved as well. If you want to comment on our video stream, you can do that on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Tweet at me at SammyLev, SammyLev. If you want to get involved there, Instagram DM's open as always as well. Sammy Lev there too, SammyLev. And we'll quickly get through some phone calls tonight as well. 833-288-0973, the phone number to call. Padres split this doubleheader on this Monday against the Braves. 6-5, they win game 1. 3-0, they lose game 2. More post-game coverage after this. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score in Game 2 of today's doubleheader, Braves 3, Padres nothing. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. Padres continue this road trip to Cincinnati, start of a 3-game series there tomorrow. We'll have more on that game, including the return of Joe Musgrove coming up a little bit later. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of tonight's game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit san diegofoodbank.org.
Our relief pitcher of the game for Game 2 of this doubleheader. We'll stay on the Padres side of things. We can. Enyel De Los Santos, 1-2-3, 7th inning. Did walk a batter to begin the 8th inning, then came out. Wandy Peralta came in, got through that 8th inning scoreless. So, good job by De Los Santos. Inning scoreless, kept it a 3-0 game, kept the Padres in the game. We'll stay on the Padres side of things here today for relief pitcher of the game in Game 2. Padres bullpen really in this doubleheader as a whole, very, very good. 7 scoreless innings combined between the 5 scoreless from Logan Gillespie, Johnny Brito, Jeremiah Estrada, and Robert Suarez in the opener, and then 2 scoreless innings combined between Enyel De Los Santos and Wandy Peralta in Game 2. So on a day with the doubleheader where your bullpen is always really important, got to give credit where credit's due. Padres bullpen was really good in this game. 7 scoreless innings. Braves bullpen was not good in the first game. More specifically, Joe Jimenez gave up 4 runs in that 8th inning as the Padres took the lead. Braves bullpen was good though in Game 2. Pierce Johnson has scored this 8th inning, and Raisel Iglesias picked up the save. Let's squeeze in a couple of phone calls here, 833-288-0973. The phone number, as always. We begin with Paul calling in from Alpine. Hi, Paul. You're on the Padres postgame show. What's up?
Sammy, we appreciate what you do. But, you know, if you told me at the beginning of the year that our team was going to be this good, I would have never bought it. But AJ put together something special. These guys are good. You know, we have a few flaws. We need to get a few guys going, but, hey, they're going to get going. But, you know, after that Colorado series, not bad, huh?
Yeah, Paul. Look, after 50 games, and I appreciate the call, Paul. Thank you for calling in, as always, listening in. Look, I think, as I always say, I feel like it's one of my signature lines. A few things can be true at the same time. This team is 25-25 after 50 games, so they are right at 500. And to be honest with you, it feels like if you've watched them day in, day out, you followed them day in, day out, it feels like they're a 500 team, right? With the way they've taken a step forward, a step back, a step forward, a step back. This latest 7-game stretch, a prime example. You somehow get swept by the Rockies at home, and you bounce back. You go to Atlanta, one of the better teams in the National League, albeit the Braves not playing super well right now. But you go there, you nearly sweep a 4-game series. Okay, it's sort of emblematic of what this season has been. But with that said, I think on the whole, even though they're sitting at 500 through 50 games, I think there are some real reasons to be optimistic that the final 2/3 of this season will be above 500. Number one, I think they've shown you some fight. Now, have there been frustrating nights too? There have. The series against the Rockies, very frustrating. But when you look at a game like Game 1 of the doubleheader earlier today, you're down 5-0. We talked about it post-game. It felt like one of those games where you say, we're down 5-0. You've got your 27th guy for the doubleheader, Logan Gillespie, in the game. Dylan Cease wasn't great. And it kind of felt like one of those day games where you're looking ahead to the second game of the doubleheader and you're saying, all right, let's hope we can get a win in Game 2. But this team chipped away at a 5-run deficit. They explode with the 4-run 8th inning. And quite frankly, it's the type of win, and there have been a handful of them already this season, whether you want to point to the 8-0 deficit against the Cubs, they come back and win, a couple of those games in LA, the game here today, games that you just don't feel like they would have won a year ago. Not that I want to continue for months on end here to compare this season to 2023, but you do feel like they are winning some games and showing a level of fight in games that you just didn't see a year ago. So that's one reason to have a lot of optimism. I think the other two would be these. The starting pitching, I think, has real potential to get rolling in a big way. With what Yu Darvish is doing, with what Dylan Cease is doing, despite not being great today, with Michael King's potential, if he can find a way to bottle up what he's done on some nights, that dominance, you know it's in there for him. If Joe Musgrove can get back starting tomorrow and sort of do what Yu Darvish has done, he doesn't have to be as dominant as you because Yu's been that good. But if he can get it going, then if you can get those four guys going, I think the outlook of this team is really optimistic. And I would say the other reason is they're sitting at 500. Now, we'll see what the deal is with Bogarts and what the injury status is here in the days to come, how serious it is and how much time he'll miss if he has to miss any considerable amount of time. But I would say the fact that they are 500, despite not consistently playing their best baseball and also without Manny and Fernando and Xander really performing at anywhere close to the level you want, you expect, where they should be, if they can get it going, I think that's another reason you're really optimistic. The fact that you've been able to tread water without those guys really clicking, to me, that's a glass half full way of looking at it, that you're sitting at 500. And the other part of it, and this is not really Padre related, but just the bigger picture of everything, look, with the expanded playoff field and in what is not to this point a great National League, that final wild card spot or two, it should be attainable. I don't know that and we're early, but I don't know that you're going to need 90 wins to grab that final wild card spot or two. We'll see how it all shakes out, but at least right now in the NL, it doesn't really look that way. So for all those reasons, Paul, I'm with you. I'm optimistic about what this season will hold. With that said, again, they're 25-25 through 50 games. But if I were a betting man, I'd be willing to bet that the record, the final two-thirds of this season, is somewhere above 500, and they're right in the mix in that postseason picture. So you certainly hope so. We'll see what comes in the coming days and weeks. All right, we'll step aside here on the Padres Radio Network. Again, final score here today in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Braves 3, Padres nothing. We'll step aside, come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, continue to talk about today's doubleheader in Atlanta. Much more to come on our post-game coverage on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here today, Braves 3, Padres nothing, as the Padres and Braves split this day-night doubleheader. Padres win the opener 6-5, a great comeback win. You could argue one of the finer wins. Maybe it was your favorite win of the Padres season, the opener. Certainly one you felt like they stole the opener, gave them a chance to sweep the four-game series in Atlanta. Not to be, as the Padres drop the closing game 3-0. Sam Levitt with you here inside our San Diego studios as we wrap this one up. We'll tell you about our player of the game in a moment. First, let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We have some finals already today. We've got some games going on. We've got one game yet to begin. The finals, Red Sox beat the Rays 5-0 in Tampa Bay. Rafael Devers hit another home run. The sixth consecutive game that Devers has homered. That's a new team record in Red Sox history. How about that? Devers, home run in 6 straight games. Red Sox beat the Rays in Tampa Bay 5-0. Nationals beat the Twins 12-3 in D.C. It was the Guardians over the Mets 3-1 in Cleveland earlier. Blue Jays earlier today beat the White Sox 9-3 in Toronto. Danny Jansen, a 2-run home run in that game for the Jays. Games going on right now. Brewers and the Marlins tied at 2 in the 10th inning in Miami. Yankees ahead of the Mariners 4-1 in New York in the 9th inning. Royals ahead of the Tigers 7-1 in Kansas City in the 6th inning. Cardinals ahead of the Orioles 5-0 in St. Louis, 6th inning there. Astros ahead of the Angels in Houston at Minute Maid Park, 5th inning. Astros up 6-1. One game yet to begin. Diamondbacks and the Dodgers in L.A. at 7:10. Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound for L.A. Joe Manaply gets the start for Arizona in that one. And that's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Padres fall 3-0 in Game 2 of today's doubleheader. Let's tell you about our player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Our player of the game in this one, well, one of those games where you get shut out. If you're the Padres, You know, I'll tip my cap to Randy Vasquez because Vasquez I thought was pretty good. I mean, look, tough lineup in Atlanta, did give up 10 hits, found ways to limit damage, 6 innings, 3 runs given up. Quality start by the definition for Randy Vasquez in this game. But when you have a guy on the other side go 7 scoreless innings, be as dominant as Chris Sale was, 5 hits allowed, no walks, struck out 9. Got to be Chris Sale here tonight, right? When you talk about impact on this game. So tip of the cap to Randy, no doubt, but his counterpart, as far as the starting pitching in this one, Chris Sale, 7 scoreless innings. He's got to be our player of the game. And that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes with the 3 wins to start this series, we've got all Padres with the daily awards, and sometimes it's just not going to go that way. This game, one of those, Chris Sale, was terrific for the Braves, and we'll see if the Padres can bounce back offensively tomorrow in Cincinnati. Speaking of tomorrow in Cincinnati, we'll preview that game in the series in Cincy. Wrap this one up when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score here tonight in Game 2 of this doubleheader. Braves 3, Padres nothing. Padres and Braves split this twin billing in Atlanta. Padres do take 3 out of 4 in this 4-game wraparound series against the Braves. It'll be the Padres and the Reds the next 3 days in Cincinnati. We'll have more on tomorrow's game and that series in just a moment. Let's first hear our play of the game from Game 2 of this doubleheader.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Out of the windup, Vasquez delivers. That's hit hard in the air to deep left field. Oh, boy. Profar just turns around to watch. It's going to go into the Padre bullpen. And Ozuna now is homered in both games of the doubleheader. The Brave lead is 3-0.
One of those games where our play of the game as far as impact on the game, it's got to be something Brave related. They win it 3-0. Marcell Ozuna, the solo home run, like Jesse alluded to. 2 home runs in this doubleheader, 1 in each game, gave the Braves a 3-0 lead. That lead proved to be a little insurmountable for the Padres to overcome. Ozuna, the home run, our play of the game. I should mention, Fernando Tatis Jr. did make a couple of really nice catches in this ball game. Had a great game on defense. Didn't have the greatest game offensively, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, but he did make some really nice defensive plays in this game. And so one catch that really, one of those catches that you feel like Fernando's one of the only guys that can make it. So not our play of the game because you had to go with something with the Braves offense. They scored 3 runs. Padres did not score any, but just a tip of the cap, if you will, to Fernando. A couple of really nice defensive plays for Fernando in this game. All right, looking ahead to tomorrow and this upcoming series in Cincinnati. Remember, the Padres finish up this 7-game road trip tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday in Cincinnati. Then it's back home for a 3-game series against the Yankees Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is setting up to be really good pitching for the Padres in that 3-game series against the Yankees. So how do the Padres line up in Cincinnati? Well, on Tuesday, tomorrow, that is, right-hander Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres. Left-hander Andrew Abbott on the mound for the Reds. Right-hander Michael King on the mound Wednesday. He'll go up against former Padre Nick Martinez. And then Thursday, right-hander Matt Waldron for the Padres. Right-hander Frankie Montas on the mound for the Reds. First pitch tomorrow in Cincinnati at 3:40 p.m. Pacific time here in San Diego. Our pregame coverage will begin at 2:40, and just so you can put it on your calendar, same start time on Wednesday, but then Thursday we have an early game, 10:10 a.m. first pitch on Thursday. Our pregame coverage on Thursday will begin at 9:10, but again, Joe Musgrove on the mound. He'll return off the IL tomorrow. Andrew Abbott, the left-hander, on the mound for the Reds. First pitch tomorrow at 3:40, and our pregame coverage will begin at 2:40. Taking a look at the final totals in this game here today. Game 2 of this doubleheader after the Padres won Game 1, 6-5. Final totals in Game 2 for the Braves. 3 runs, 11 hits, no errors. They left on 7. For the Padres, no runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 7 as well. Winning pitcher with 7 brilliant innings here tonight, Chris Sale, who improves to 7-1. Randy Vasquez allowed 3 runs in 6 innings. A quality start for Vasquez, but he did take the loss. He now drops to 0-3, and the save goes to Raisel Iglesias, his 11th of the season. A quick one to finish up this doubleheader, 2 hours and 18 minutes, and the crowd at Truist Park in Atlanta, 34,753. As always, if you missed any of our post-game show, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. For our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night. Again, the final score, the Atlanta Braves 3 and the San Diego Padres 0. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network.